Hi, welcome back to Northern Rails 44. I'm actually now just started to do the scenery up against the back scene. Back scene was a nightmare, but I did get there in the end. Decided I was getting bubbling actually, and obviously that's not good, and obviously on camera it just looked terrible. So basically I ordered more from the company who I've been dealing with, and I decided then to stick it with wafer thin double-sided tape, which worked excellent. I stuck that onto boards what I'd had cut to size, and then basically I've actually stuck the boards back to the original boards with Velcro, believe it or not, and it's actually worked. Again, you'll see that when on the video when I pop the camera around. And then obviously now they're on, I've decided to do the back scene or up to the back scene with obviously with ills, so on and so forth, and decided to put some rock face in. But I'll flip it round now and show you what I've actually been doing. There's the back scene, which is stuck really well actually the way I've done it. Yeah, I can see a little bit of a board sticking out there, but I can get that back no problem. So basically I've got the incline going up, and I've actually now started to fill in round it. So basically, as you can see there, I did a few bits of sample on the static grass. Not 100% happy with that with my colours yet. However, I'm getting there with it. I've actually put the rock face on now, as you can see. Again, now I've used a different product. I was using Tyler's grout, but decided to use plaster of Paris, which is fantastic. Plaster of Paris, I can do that section of rock face in around about 10 minutes, 15 minutes max, whereas Tyler's grout, I was waiting for hours and hours for it to set. I was having to keep going back to it and trying to dry it. But anyway, I've got there now with it. Plaster of Paris, the future. So basically then, I'm actually doing the ills, as we can see here, and I'm actually using styrofoam kind of thing from a company who I deal with tiling, and basically I can get this in 30mm, 20, 10 and 6. So obviously I'm using the 20, 10 and 6 at the minute, and basically all I'm doing is sticking it with hot glue and then using the hot wire cutter to shape it. Then over that I'm actually doing the Modrock bandage, which is fantastic for that, and any other little bits then if I want to build anything up, again using the plaster of Paris. Then the covering I'm using is a brown Tyler's grout for the earth surface, and then basically the static grass over that. So as you can see now, I've actually formed ills and with the styrene. I've got the track protected, and basically I am now ready to start mod rocking and getting some shape into it. I've put the masking tape over the front of the road tunnel as well to protect that, and as you can see I've actually stopped there with it now. So once I've got the Modrock on, I can get that drying and I can get some brown ground covering on then, ready for doing any scenics. I'm just going to pop some Modrock on this ill here now. I'm sure many of you out here and out there know how to do this, but for those people who don't, what I do basically is I get a bucket, cut the sheets to size, dip it in the water and hang it over the bucket. Just start dropping it on and shaping it. Straightforward. I've got plenty of this Modrock. I was quite fortunate enough to know somebody who was in the ambulance service many years ago who got me rolls and rolls of it. It is great. If you're doing some of this actually with this styrene, in all fairness, you don't have to actually put this on. However, I like to do. I think it just gives a better key for everything, and I just think it sticks better. I think also when you start putting this on, you can start see the forms and shapes of everything. Bit of massaging. So what do you guys prefer to do? Do you use the mod rock, or do you use a different installation or a different method? If you want to pop it in your comments, that'd be ideal for me to have a look at, and I'm always open to new suggestions, because I'm sure you guys are too. As you can see now, you can start seeing the shaping of it and contours. I think the more the better, to be quite honest. I do prefer the shapes. When all this is set, what I'll do is I'll trim this back here. I'm obviously going to put the work yard, as I mentioned earlier, around this area and some roads in. We're trying the new system from WWS, which is like a road surface. Not 100% sure how to use that yet. I'm sure we'll find out. Just a quick one for Martin and Sam. Not had any accidents this week in the loft. About a month ago I actually screwed a screw into my finger up here. Following week I banged my head on one of the trusses. The following week after that I fell out of the loft, would you believe? Lovely, nasty, cut down my stomach. I went down. I'm alright though. Keeps you on your toes. I'm in the building trade and I don't hardly have any accidents at work, touch wood. So what I'm going to do now, basically when this dries, yeah, I'll paint it up, but on this rock face, yeah, this front here, I'm going to make this into a rock face with the plaster of Paris. So these ridges you won't see. Anything where it's a sharp front like this, it'll be rock face. Anywhere else it'll be grass, scenery and so on and so forth. So once the mod rock's all applied, what I'll do then is just let that dry off a bit. And now, as you can see, I'm actually painting it with a brown umber. All you painters out there, I'm free week after next. All I'm using here is a children's paint from the range. Anything will do, basically. It's just to cover it before I put the grout on. Try to get as little as you can on the back scene, however it will actually wash off this or wipe off with a bit of a damp cloth. I need to keep this quite wet now because I'm actually going to just put the grout over the top of this before I seal that in permanent. It will actually stick to this paint, no problem at all. So what I've got is a container with brown grout in it, and I've got one of the Mrs.'s stockings. She can have it back next week. I'll just give it a run through the washing machine. But here goes. Basically, I just chuck it on. Won't be shy with it. It'll quite easily vac off when it's dried. But it does give a nice earth colour in before you start putting any of your other scenics on. My advice is you wear a mask. Okay, so there we go. So I'm going to wait probably 24 hours now until that dries. Then I'll vac it off and put a seal on it. And then we can decide where we go from there. I'm just going to do a small piece of rock face with plaster of Paris. I can't do a big section. because obviously of the setting times. So we'll just do a small section and see how it goes. So basically I just lay it on. I found this being so much better than the tiler's grate I was using. The only difference is you do have to be quick with this. So just get it to some form of a shape. One thing I must say is, if you don't know, that every time you mix up, make sure your pot, what you mix up in, is spotlessly clean, or else it'll just contaminate the next mix you do and it'll set even quicker. So I've just bobbed that on now, and I don't think it'll take that long to go. So basically I use a Stanley knife, scraper, a brush, and just little scalpels basically to try and shape it. And yeah, right away she's starting to go. So I now just start to put slits in it, bumps. Just basically shaping it and cutting into it. That's all I found you need to do, and you will start to get some nice divots and so on and so forth with it. As you can see, it's going pretty much already. I've tried Celotex and all sorts before, and I personally just don't think you get the effect with it. So I like to keep it going like this now, and then as it starts to really go, you can just like take little pieces out, like so. And again, it just adds into effect. I'm sure you'll do it your own way and you'll find your own methods. But once the wash is on, which you can actually see, I put some washes on the WWS Helps and Tips site yesterday with colours. So my original one was a little bit more of a yellowy face with bits of greys in it and oranges, whereas the new one I'm doing more grey with black, 2 shades of grey, 1 black, and a little brown for water stains. As you can see now, it's going, and where little pieces fall out like this, it really isn't an issue because it just all adds to the effect. Then on the top here, I'll have bushes, grass, so on and so forth, just to add to the effect. You can now see the shape, and now as it's drying, just kind of brush it off a little bit, and that again will add to the detail. What I found with the plaster of Paris as well is that because it sets quicker, you can get more shapings. So like parts here what are sticking out. With that, let's give it one more brush off. Obviously when it is dried, I'll give it a vac off, get any loose bits off. The bits you scrape off, in all fairness, you could actually use them. You could just put a wash on them and use them as falling rocks. There you go. Well, I hope that was of any or of use to you out there, or you're going to try it. I'll get that dried off and I'll continue all the way down here now where it's steep. Anywhere it's not steep, it'll just be grassed and bushed, so on. And if you did like the video, please click subscribe and press the bell for notifications. Cheers!